opportunity to make you some questions for the Technic fans community. I got a bunch of questions, so let's try to handle it somehow. Maybe I will not go in order to start with the most important ones, and then we will see what can fit and cannot fit. So maybe starting with you, that since you were an AFO like us before, so the fans know very well your work before becoming a Lego designer. How did it, becoming a professional Lego designer, change your relation with Lego as an AFO? So do you still have time to play with Lego at home? We know you do, but
yeah. From time to time, I just take Lego bricks and play with it, mostly Technic or Creator. But of course, I do have less time in my free time and less desire to build with Technic in my free time, of course, because if you spend like 8 hours working on something and afterwards you come home, you just don't want to see the bricks for a while. Okay. But I still try to force myself to do some alternate models of my own designs.
Yes, yeah. You can see them at your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the designers who began as AFOs, what's the biggest difference between the AFO way of building, where you have unlimited techniques and limited elements, and the designer way of building, which is the opposite, so with limited techniques and unlimited elements?
Yeah, well, the basic difference is that you learn how to build in a more structured way. So afterwards, if you open the box, anybody should be able to copy what you created, sort of. Before that, you didn't have to take this into account, so you could put like all the parts in your model in black, and you didn't have to worry because you just wanted a black model. So that was your approach. Right now, you need to take into consideration that the models are for kids that are like 8, 9 years old. So it needs to be easy to find the different elements in the box if you're assembling something.
Okay, I think we will return to that.
Later on. Yes.
Okay. Now it's right next. Of course, we even the adults appreciate some help when we are trying to find elements to build for each building step. However, we feel that we have a lot of color coding in the Technic sets, and it doesn't even look consistent over time. So, are you still experimenting with it? Will we get to a point where every axle length will come into a different color?
No, I don't think we will. Of course, like Milan said, we always have to remember that we need to make models that are a great experience for everybody to build in the age range that we go for. So in the last year, for example, you've seen the introduction of the yellow cross axles and the red cross axles across the different odds and even numbers, which means that the designers have even more opportunity to differentiate, because a lot of the information that we base these decisions on is from you guys, from consumers calling and saying, I can't find this element in my model, and we can sometimes trace those things back to the fact that there might be a 5-module grey axle and a 7-module grey axle in a set, and it might be that they've confused them somewhere in the build, and so we want to make sure that we don't end up with those situations, so that when you build the model you have a great experience. So it might be now that the designer will use the 5-module in yellow and the 7-module in grey, or they might just use the grey 5-module ones, for example, to try and get a consistency, to make sure that the model is going to be the same every time you build it.
Okay, but then how come do you arrive into a situation where you have 5 model axles in light bluish grey and yellow in the same set?
Yeah, that shouldn't be. It really depends on where the designer is using it in the model as well, because sometimes it might be that if you have something here, for example on this model you have the yellow cross axles and it blends in very much with the rest of the model. You've got a lot of yellow going on in here, but it could be something with an IP car, maybe with the Porsche for example, where it's great to use the yellow cross axles in the heart of the machine where you don't see them in the end result, but then when you really must use that same module cross axle in the exterior of the car, then you need to use a grey one maybe to make
Okay.
it blend in more. So it's really down to the designer to make the best informed choice to make sure that it's a great experience
Okay.
for you guys to build.
Well, we saw the same thing in the Porsche with
Yeah.
the two model axles where you used to use red,
Yes.
but on the doors
door
you have
handle
used
is
the
black
black
one.
ones.
Yes, and that's exactly for that reason, because in the build of the car, then it's much easier to find those red cross axles earlier on, but then when you get to the outside of the car, there's very few elements left, and then you don't want to have that red dot
Yes.
on the side of the car. So it really is down to the designer to find that,
And
that
we
nice
appreciate
balance.
it.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, we often see this coloured bath expression, which is not what we're intending to do. It's just that where you don't see the end result, where you can really want to make sure that the function is correct. Because of course, the last thing you want is to build a model and get to a stage where you've spent 2 days building something and then realise that, I should have used this one when you come to actually activate the function. So we want to make sure that when you're building, say, a chassis or a structure of a model, that it's absolutely perfect, and we try to help you guys as much as possible to make sure that that's what happens. And then later, maybe you can use them differently to get that colour expression on the outside.
Okay, still on the elements assortment. Why there is not a friction variant of the half pin? Some of us feel that they should definitely have friction, but they don't. Why is it so?
Yeah, well, I can tell
If
you
you
why.
have an explanation, maybe not.
I think basically, I can cover some of the other questions you have about elements as well. Each year we get a frame to develop new elements, and we have to look at our entire assortment of models, so everything from the 999 model all the way through to the 200 and something euros, 300 euro model. And we have to make sure that we're creating elements that can be used in those models, ones that are from a need from the designers coming from years and years of experience about what they need to have next to make new functions, new possibilities, and also from what you guys say about, would be cool to have this element, then I could do this, this and this. Because what we try to avoid is to create an element that leads us into a dead end. We want to be able to create elements that give lots and lots of opportunities. We only have a very small number of new element possibilities each year, so we need to make them work a long time. And I think in this case, it's just down to the fact that our designers have never seen a need for it. So if they needed it, they would get it.
Okay. You know that the community of fans are always feeling need for extra and new elements, and there are
so are our designers.
Yes, exactly. It's like if only I had this one, it's always like
so there are some funny things that we know that you cannot accomplish everything in one shot, but sometimes we wonder, especially more recently, that we got some very nice parts in the last years. How come did it took so long to come up with certain parts so useful, like the pinholes with the pin attached, or the small axle attached to it? They seem to so useful. So how come did it take so long to get these elements?
It's literally just down to the need.
Yeah.
So when the designers realize they need the element and they start to do drawings for it, then we start to create it. But if they don't come forward with what they want, or know that that's what they want, then we don't make it. So it really is down to the fact that in the last few years, our models have become more authentic, they've become more closed, and that means that there's a greater need for these type of elements that allow the designers to build closer and tighter. So the ones you just talked about, they've been in recent years because of the need from the way that we build our models now. So.
And it's as well with the gear shifting mechanism that has been like recently updated, because it came from the old era where you were building in even numbers, and nobody does that in Technic anymore. So we always had to get like half a module offset, and right now just to get rid of it and make the building experience so much easier for everyone, especially us, make our life a lot easier to closing the gearboxes. It just was natural just to come up with longer gear shifter, and afterwards you end up with odd numbers.
Yeah,
everything works fine.
Sure.
Is there some elements that you think we're missing still, apart from the friction So.
Yes, for sure.
You can send us a list.
Okay. Now about the design process. How do you design the alternate models? So is the alternate model usually already chosen when you start a new product, or does it come along with ideas when you start building the main model?
The easiest answer to that is normally we just give Milan a big bag of parts and see what comes out, because he's really made that his speciality.
Yeah, but it depends on each designer, and sometimes you as well are responsible just for the A model or just for the B model of the box. So you have no idea what has been in the volume or what elements are there available. So you are just literally given a bag, and afterwards you just try out something, and it works or not, then you try something else. But usually when I know that I will be doing as well the alternate model for a model that I design, I already take this into consideration, like what could it potentially be. And sometimes it does influence the design of the A model as well.
Okay.
So you smuggle some elements inside of the A model just to have them in the B model. For example, on the fireplane, there was no 3-module frictionless pin inside, and I just put it in front of the rudder just to have it for the attachments of the front landing gear on the B model, because yeah, I was like, it needs to have 2 wheels in the front to be more stable.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then sometimes there might be, like with this one for example, there's an even better reason, because this one is, and this will be a first that you get to know this, but with this model, this is obviously an IP model. It's made together with Volvo, and Milan was responsible for the alternate build for this one. Now, with the last model we did the bucket wheeled,
wheel loader.
The wheel loader, and the alternate model was a hauler, which Volvo then made the real version. With this one,
work together.
yes, with this one, it was the same process again. We actually decided to make an excavator before we decided to do Volvo again, so we just managed to use them again because it was just a great fit. But we were going to do an excavator anyway, and then we found this one which had these cool extra features, and we just worked together. But then the story about what is the B model for this one was very interesting, because this machine is made in a factory in Germany, and in the factory in Germany they also make the L30. So this model is completely different to the excavator. Compact materials handler, as it's called, is not the same elements. So maybe you want to say a little bit about what that meant.
Yeah, it was at the beginning. It was kind of a nightmare for me, because they wanted literally like L30G, and I was like, how am I supposed to turn excavator into a wheel loader? Afterwards, I was playing with it, and I was like, okay, it's possible. Then I want to get as well the parallel movement of the arm and on the attachment. And if you take a look at the real one, the L30G has shorter hydraulic pistons on the bottom, on the main arms, and longer one for moving the attachment. I had the opposite. Yeah, so it was kind of tough one to come up with something that works.
But the cool thing
how did you solve the problem?
With help of Markus Gossman and other colleagues, we just basically came up with a mechanism that sort of works most of the range of the movement. And afterwards I just adjusted it so it worked even better. And
so you work together?
Yes, of course. Like if you need help from any of the colleagues, you just go and ask.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
We are very much. It's a Lego Technic design team.
Yeah.
So although individual designers are responsible for all the different models, and it's their role to carry that model through from idea through to the final result, it's also their responsibility to make sure that they seek the opinion and help from their peers as well. So we have a buddy system which enables them to do that. So.
Yeah. So I'm curious about one thing, since we are talking about the way you work. In your daily work, do you use some methodology similar to software development methodologies like waterfall or agile? I don't know if you are.
Yeah, all the different processes. Well, I guess most design processes are the same kind of process. They're just different names and different ways of expressing it.
Okay.
But basically our process is that we have lots of ideas at the beginning, so we have a filter process if you like. So we have lots and lots of ideas. The designers will go away and they'll build lots and lots of sketch models, and there might be lots of sketch models on a particular theme. There might be lots of sketch models around an exact model, for example, a Porsche or something. So it might be that they just go away and they create something that might be a really nice model with lots of functions for a particular price point. So once they've done that, then we start to formulate what the assortment is, and then we present it at different levels to our management, and then we get further and further down until we end up with the final models that we take through. And when we've decided on those models, then they're assigned to different designers, or the designers pick which ones they want to work with, because we want to make sure that Milan is happy to work with the
wheel loader, yeah,
compact materials handler. Sorry, Volvo. And he wants to work with that model, so we try to make sure that he's able to do that. And also, he's pretty good when it comes to B models, so alternate builds. So it's good to have that. But
Okay.
we like to make sure that the designers are building something they want to build, because then that's the way we'll get the best out of them. So,
Yes, of course.
yeah. So once we get to that point, then it is just a case of building it and building it again, building different versions, and keep optimizing it until we get to the point where they sit with the building instruction people, the ones that create the instructions that you'll follow, and then they'll sit with our quality people, and then they'll go through a whole process before the model is then signed off for putting in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that stage, it's
Okay.
ready to go out to you guys.
Okay, thank you. Another one. What usually determines the need or opportunity for designing a new element? When does it happen in the design process of a model?
Yeah, it can happen a year before we start developing a model. It might be that somebody's looking at functions that we'd like to have. It might be that a need from an element from a previous year. So it could be that elements come before models, and that gives us opportunities to do new model types. Or it could be that when we start to decide that we want to do a particular model type, then we need new elements for it. So for example, with the elements here that you see for the bucket wheel excavator, we wanted to do a bucket wheel excavator, and we started exploring how we needed to do that. And we started to do this at the same time as then creating the model. Can't really give you any examples of elements that came.
How long does it take you to design a new element?
Yeah, again.
So it fits the timeline of the development of the model.
We always want to make sure that we get to the stage where we have prototype plastic elements before the model is signed off, because we need to test with those elements. So for example, with these elements here, we need to have them, and we need to have them in plastic, and it might not be the final element, there might be a test mold so we can make versioning of it, but we go through the prototyping phase first to make sure that we've got the elements we want and the geometry, etc. And then we'll then cut steel and make plastic ones to make sure that it works. When it's an element like this, it's critical of the way that it's interacting with other elements in a functional way.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something like the wheel arch piece on the Porsche there, it's critical in the way that it interacts with the other elements, but it's not a functional element. So we can do that phase mainly in prototype. We don't need to have a final test piece before we sign off the model. But when it's something like this, then it's critical to us.
Okay. Still about this bucket wheel excavator. So, what changed during the last few years that made a near 4,000 part Technic set possible?
You guys, basically. I mean, a few years ago, our highest price point models were around 200 euros. I think even further back than that, just even 4 years ago, I think our highest price point model was, what, 150 euro crane? Was that the flagship model, I think? Mm-hmm. And, you have such a demand from us, from what you want, and that we saw that there's, you guys want it, so we'll keep creating stuff until you get fed up with it. But basically, with the invention of certain elements, I mean, you can see one here, for example, the frame pieces that come in here, which allow us to be able to build bigger, more stable structures. We have obviously frame elements which are bigger than this one. The addition of the big panels, etc. They physically allow us to build bigger models, but it's not actually our intention to just build the biggest possible model. If we take this, for example, the reason why this one is so big is because this type of model warrants this type of scale. I saw early on that you guys were kind of wondering how big our bucket wheel excavator would be from when we had the name leak. And I saw all sorts of things like, oh, it's only going to be a $29.99 model, it'd just be a small thing and blah, blah, blah. And we were just thinking, we'll wait and see, because the reason why this became so big is because the real thing is so big and impressive. And to be able to justify, saying to you guys, check out this model, it's amazing, we needed to make sure that we had that impact.
Okay. And if you want to make it functional, you need to be that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And in this case, sorry,
go on.
In this case, it was as well that we redesigned the small bucket that we used before on the backhoes and other kind of excavators.
We noticed.
And yes. And afterwards it was like, okay, how can we fit it around the wheel? So it pretty much like gave the size of the model, because the wheel couldn't be any smaller to fit them perfectly, and you needed certain amount of those buckets running around to be able to dig something.
And we had this truck as well. So it's a completely redesign of it. I know that a lot of people think it's the same one, but it's actually a complete redesign, but of course it's very much inspired by this. So we thought it would be quite funny to make it in the same scale. So now if you've already got this truck, then you can use it. Because when this thing is running, you need a truck every couple of seconds.
Yes, more than one, so you have a fleet of.
Yeah. So feel free to go and buy more trucks, and then you can start your own little haulage thing.
Okay, so do you think there is a limit, or is it possible to build models even bigger and more complex within the natural limits of Lego elements? I mean, non-lubricated plastic.
Yeah, there is a natural limit for sure. Of course, we're always developing new elements, so we don't really know where that limit is at the moment. Even in a small model, there are limits to how we use our elements, so it's not just related to the scale. Of course, when you have a big weight here and a long piece like this, there's going to be a natural flex. But at the same time, even when you make a small model, if you have a chassis and you don't build it correctly, then it will flex too much and it won't be a nice experience to play with. So even in the smaller models, the designers have to think very much about how they create their structures. Just like real engineering, it's like you can make very fine, very thin structures if you make it in a creative way. So it's the same with models like this. We haven't found the limit yet.
Yeah, and it depends as well on the kind of vehicle that you choose to build, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so tying to this previous question, has there been a model that you'd like to produce but came to the conclusion that it was not possible to do, so the constraints of the current Lego elements technology, why was it not possible?
Well, I think I don't. To be honest, I don't think of anything at the top of my head. I mean, I can give you an example. I mean, for a long time we've talked about a bucket wheel excavator, but we've never done one because we didn't necessarily have the elements for it, but also because people's awareness of this type of model. We know, as you know, and I'm sure you guys know as well, as like construction geeks and engineering people and everything, we know every kind of machine tool there is known to man, but to a lot of people it's like, well, I don't even know what that is.
And
so
we have Sariel here with us waiting for the next slot, and I remember he tried to do one like that a few years back, and at the time he found it was not possible at the time for him.
I had a problem with the chassis.
So to a lot of people it's like they're bemused as to what it even is, but in the last few years we've changed our packaging design so that we have a little bit more storytelling or a little bit more decode on the front of the box, which actually surprisingly allows us to do more model types than we've done in the past. So don't be surprised if you see even more things that we've never done before. And it's not because we can't do them or we've not wanted to do them. Not because we don't want to do them or can't do them. It's just because if you imagine in the old days when we had that sort of starburst box and we put this on the front, there'd be people just like, what? So even though it's got amazing functionality and a huge impression, etc., sometimes it's other parameters. It's not the elements. It's actually being able to tell people what it is, because we want to make sure that kids especially, they need to know what something is to know that they like it or not.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we're in a position to communicate it well.
Sometimes it just needs to look cool on the box, because
Yeah.
from my personal experience, when Lego Technic produced the small hovercraft in 2013, the kids had no clue what it was. They just thought it was cool. It was dark with checkerboard stickers, and that was it.
Now moving into a different note about quality. Are you doing any longevity or endurance tests done with the power functions motors? Because we noticed that, for instance, even at GBC or some other applications, they tend to die a lot even at constant light loads.
Okay. No, that definitely shouldn't be the case, because the amount of testing that the designers have to put their models through now, we have a whole department that takes care of the testing. So during the development process, the designers will have to hand over a model, and then the builders will start drilling a hole in the wall. The designers will have to hand over a model to the test department, and they will test everything on it. They will test the power functions, they will test the all of the activators and everything.
Yeah, well, they should be in the other building.
Yeah, and we have lifetime testing as well, and that's not just for models that have got the electronic components.
That's why everything is.
Yeah, the design of the Porsche, for example, was run through a robot for, I can't say how many hours, but hundreds of hours of testing. So by the time the models get to you guys, there should be no problems. But that's not necessarily always the case. But the amount of testing that we put our models through before we even sign off on them is way higher than you can possibly imagine. So.
Okay, so we are always eager to learn from you, and at certain Lego Technic flagships, the friction reduction plays a very important role. So you need to keep at the minimum levels possible. Why there is sometimes that we see friction pins used where it all seems to indicate the frictionless counterparts should have been used instead of the friction ones.
I think that's back to the answer I gave you right at the beginning. It's like the tolerances of our elements and the way that we build the model and the way that it functions is also relevant to the way that you actually build the model.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in building instructions, for example, then it's really important that an element stays in a certain angle when you build it to make sure that it doesn't swing around the wrong way and you assemble it in a different direction and you don't notice until you try to operate the functions. So sometimes there might be a friction pin in the model just to hold an element in the right place whilst you build it.
Okay.
So there's many, the examples you have is pretty much that, but there's many reasons why we use different elements in different ways. For example, with the Porsche there you have the frictionless pin, and it's like the only two in the volume compared to the rest of where all the friction pins. And it's to do with the tolerance of that element. It's not even to do with where the colour is or anything, it's to do with friction. So the reason why the elements are used in different ways is actually really, really considered. So you have to kind of try and figure out the reason when you see these individual occurrences, but it is to do with building experience and also the tolerances of the actual elements.
Okay, now a bit about the community influence. What do you think about the various Bluetooth third-party remote control solutions that came up within the community for the Lego elements? So I think Brick is probably the most popular one at the moment. Did you play with it? What was your feeling about it? Kind of elements?
Yeah, we've seen it, and I think it's really cool that we have a product that allows other people to interact with it and create solutions. Whether it's creating new elements or in this case creating a whole new level of technology. I think it's really, really amazing. So.
Okay, so also you certainly know that there are many enthusiasts experimenting with 3D printing and testing alternative element designs. Mm-hmm. Do you seek inspiration also on the community-made work?
In the way that
the new elements that the community tries to come up with, the 3D printed elements that people tries to experiment. Do you follow? Do you observe this?
No, I think again it's just one of the cool things. It's like you know, there are people making new parts for real cars, and they make a business around that and everything, and people are free to go and buy those parts and put them on their cars. But it's obviously quite expensive and it's quite niche. But here you have something that is so accessible. You know, you can create a whole new set of parts on home and on the computer, and then print them out now at home, and then you can then add those to your model, and you can continue to do that. So we think that it's a really great thing that people do. Quite flattered that people would actually spend the time to modify and create their own elements. What models are we missing? So maybe if we have some time at the end, you can
Okay.
have a think
Yes,
about it.
maybe we will have through the day
I think
time
it's fair.
to
I think it's
continue
fair
with.
that we ask some questions as well.
Yeah, and maybe what colors would you like to see?
Well, it's
Well, I can see
Questions.
he matches the colour, so yeah.
Alright, so guys, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing me here for this opportunity, and to thank you that these are Polish cars from 50s, 60s and 70s. So if you are ever in need of inspiration, maybe this will help you again.
I think this was my first car actually.
Was it?
Polish?
Yeah, but
My
Lada.
granddad used to have it.
This is also made it's the Fiat version, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I had the proper Russian version. That was my first car, was a Lada.
Yeah.
It was
I know this
indestructible.
class.
That was built like a tank. Did you know there's only, as far as I'm aware, and I could be completely wrong there, there's only 2 cars in the world that have ever had a titanium toolkit. One of them is the McLaren F1,
And the other was
and the other one is a Lada.
Really?
Yeah. I had a titanium toolkit and magnesium wheels on my car. It's nothing, apparently it's nothing to do with being like really cool and lightweight, it's because it's the only metal they got. But
Did this one as well had the, how was it, the engine in the front and front wheel drive or the other
no, it's front wheel drive, sorry, it's engine in the front, rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
And if you take the number plate off, there's a crank on it.
Yeah.
So you can turn it over when your back is flat. Sorry, now we're using your time.
No, it's cool. It's
He's going to have 5 minutes
I'm
to ask
recording
questions.
yeah, first
I'm
of
not
all,
sure Jan will let you put that out.
let's see.
Promotional video for Lada. Probably
We
not.
will beep the brand and everything's gonna be cool now. Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should put those out the way.
So first of all, on behalf of my community, I want to thank you for, and I quote, providing fuel for our trucks with dreams. That's what they want us to thank you for.
Cool.
And
It's good to know.
yeah, let's start with the questions. Which set was personally most rewarding for you to launch?
Well,
I guess what did you do first? What was your first set that you launched?
oh yeah, there was the tiny twin rotor helicopter in 2014, 999, small blue one. It was originally meant to be something else, and I just came up with this concept, and everybody loved it. So that's my first one.
That's not going to be something you forget.
No.
Which product have I launched? Wow. Well, actually, the ones that are around us is the first ones that have actually. Because
The tractor is mind-blowing. Seriously.
Well, actually, the tractor's a funny story because when I was a kid, I played with Lego Technic, of course, and it's the reason why I became a designer, because I played with so much Lego when I was a kid. And I became a designer, became an automotive designer. I went away from Lego, and then Lego asked me to come and work for them, and I thought that was a really cool opportunity. I felt like I was giving something back, if you like. I've been here for 12 years, so I guess I'm still giving back. But to me, it's entertaining every day. And the tractor's a funny story because when I was a kid, and there was the blue tractor, and I can't remember the name, but I'm sure you know the number of it. The one that now Uber has on his desk, the blue 4-wheel tractor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I really wanted that tractor when I was a kid, and it got to the point where I'd actually saved up enough money to be able to get it, because in those days the models were on shelf for a little bit longer. And when I went to the shop to get it, they just sold their last one.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got that model, and now one of my designers, he actually went and bought it from a junk shop, and that sits on, so it's really annoying. So I really wanted to have a tractor. So, you all right?
Alright, yeah.
So I really wanted this tractor, so I'm really pleased that we were able to pull this one off, and also especially one that's got so much cool functions in it. The designer did an amazing job,
really.
so it's certainly one of my favourites. But yeah, and as a
Not
Porsche,
only yours, I'm sure.
and as a Porsche owner, then of course launching a Porsche has been the whole thing around the Porsche was just amazing. The packaging, the concept, and everything else like that. So it's literally the one project that I think we've wanted to do for the last 12 years. So it's great to finally see it going out to people, and apparently it's sold out. So that's a good couple of days. So
how do you decide who designs what? Do you have some special personal preferences? Do you specialize in various types of vehicles, or are you just assigned a task?
no, we very much try to avoid just assigning a task. I touched on earlier is that the designers will build many different models during the development phase that we're going into at the moment, and some of those models they'll want to take further into products, and some of those models then other designers will take further. So we normally have a session where we have decided on what models we're going to develop, and then we get the designers then to basically pick, and we want them to build the model that they want to build.
That's why some people don't make planes.
Not only, and
No,
you know, it's like me, Marcus, Lars, basically
Yeah.
the plane geeks.
The plane, yeah, we do have some.
And there are motorcycle geeks, and
Yeah.
I would stay away from a motorcycle because the other two would kill me afterwards.
Yeah, and there's designers that only want to build in orange, but we don't mention his name.
No.
Have you ever considered a floating Technic watercraft? Do you think a motorized Technic boat, for instance, could happen one day?
Well, I know that you've kind of been pushing for
Yeah.
this for a while.
The only problem is like, you know, if you drown it in the river, probably would be too many complaints because the power functions is not meant to be used in water or being submerged. So
we're not strictly speaking an outdoor toy, so we have to be very careful with what we kind of show as models doing and things, because we don't want to encourage kids to take them outside and to use them. It's very much for exploring inside, but yeah, I mean, who knows?
never say never.
It's not
Maybe question entirely to you, but it seems that all Technic submissions to the Web Ideas program have been rejected so far. Is there any particular reason, or is it just a coincidence?
No, I mean, we have a connection with Lego Ideas, but it's really down to them. It's their business. Sometimes they'll send us something to evaluate, and it maybe doesn't reach the criteria that we need internally, but I think most of the models that they've produced recently have been really highly supported in the market. So I think maybe if you guys can push the boats way beyond 10,000 or whatever, then we can see, but we haven't been approached to do anything.
Looking at how popular the Minecraft Lego sets have proved, have you ever considered a Technic set based on a gaming license? Say, for example, a Fallout Power Armor or Arkham Knight Batmobile, something like that?
Do you think that would be something cool that we should do?
It will be absolutely something cool, but I think there will be problems with the rating of these games. Some of them are rated.
Yeah. I mean, that's always going to be a consideration. I mean, whatever license we take in, then it always has to be relevant to our age marking. So that would probably rule out a lot of things that you know a lot of our adult fans consider really cool. So we won't do those because we want to make sure that we stay within our relevance to our age marks. But yeah, there's lots of cool vehicles and cool things out there, and we always want to do the coolest and greatest vehicles. So yeah.
And it still needs to fit basically the main age range we have, which is 7 to 11.
Yeah. Or 13, but of course you can see that we now have the 16 plus.
Yes.
So yeah. I know there's been a lot of comment about that age mark actually. Was that one of your? Did you have any questions about that? Because I know that a lot of people have got questions.
We're not supposed to ask you about the Porsche, if I remember
really?
correctly.
Oh no, I think it's just about the Porsche packaging and stop list and things like that, but it's fine.
What happened to the Technic figures? Are they ever coming back?
Oh wow, yeah, they disappeared, didn't they? I don't know, there's quite a few of them in the studio, isn't there? And it's sort of like sitting around on random models.
Yeah, but the problem is always like the scaling of the model around the Technic figure, because like the figure gives the scale afterwards of the model and pretty much limits you. So it's really tough to design anything around it.
I think you would have a tough job trying to drive this actually.
Yeah.
And there's no room for a hamster behavior.
Yeah.
No, you could have him running on here, but I honestly don't recommend that you interact with hamster in this
It's
one.
official. A designer of the set does not recommend using it.
No, it's officially not approved for hamster use, I think. Yeah.
Did you tell that to Richard Hammond?
Sorry?
Did you tell that to Richard Hammond?
No.
Alright. What kind of education is best suited if one would like to try to become a technical designer?
I mean, that's a very different story for all the designers that we have. Even in the LEGO Technic group, we have 12 designers, and I think each one of them has a very different background story. I will say the same thing as what I say to anybody that talks about wanting to be a LEGO designer. The best thing is to follow an art and design career that teaches you how to be a designer. Because being a LEGO designer is a very, very small and a very limited number of people. Whereas if you continue your passion for LEGO and building LEGO, but you train to be a designer, then that way that gives you phenomenal opportunities. I wanted to be a LEGO designer when I was a kid. I then went and did design training and realised I actually wanted to be an automotive designer. And then eventually I ended up back here, but that's just a different story.
Wrong, right?
But it was the skills I learnt as an automotive designer that actually brought me back here. So in terms of when you're looking at what career to follow, then yeah, we have a lot of fans here, but they have a very high level and a high knowledge of design process. So whether they're trained in design or not, but if you're at school now or you're college now, then the best thing I can tell you is to train and to be passionate about design and train as a designer. Follow art and design, follow design engineering or whatever, and then keep that passion for LEGO and then see where it takes
you later, because you might end up being a really cool designer in another company and maybe one day you come to LEGO, or you may end up going straight from school and be a LEGO designer. But remember, being a LEGO designer is a very low number of people, so it's much better to aim at a wider point and then focus in on being it.
Alright. I want to ask you about the lighting, because we have LEGO LED lights and nothing more really, which has resulted in a huge third-party market for LEGO compatible lighting. Is there any chance we will see some new lighting products, or is lighting of a model not really any longer relevant in the design process?
I think from the designer's point of view as well, it's our main focus is giving you guys great functional models, and like you say, there is a lot of third-party things out there that create for that, and it might be a very small number of people that actually want to have all the working lights and everything. And if we did all the working lights,
then
then
in the 80s or 90s where we had plenty of sets with LED lights, fiber optics and such.
Yes, yes.
And it's not coming back anytime.
I can't say for sure, but like we said earlier, nothing is for sure. But you know, you'll have as many people, or you know, you'll have a lot of people that want to have each one of these lights working, and you'll have the same number of people that don't like all the wires around the model and things like that. So we always have to balance. Like, you know, there's so many opinions about everything that we just want to make sure that we focus on what we know that everybody wants, which is the cool function-filled models. So.
Right. Do you sometimes check on what LEGO fans are building? Is there something that has particularly amused you, or something you wished you could turn into a set?
Well, the hamster
always.
Yes, every day, all the time. I'm still considering myself an Apple, so yes, I'm following the forums.
Yeah, and also
I'm
Milan,
showing it as well to the rest.
He inspires us as well. We have a very large wall where we're always pinning up stuff that interests us, whether it's a LEGO model or whether it's a cool piece of design from a latest concept motorcycle or a new plane. Or we want our designers to be totally aware and totally inspired. And I think maybe sometimes they look at models that you guys create and then make sure they do something completely different. So it's kind of like inspiring, and also like it sends them in different directions as well, because they have a pride in creating something that you guys have never seen before, so sometimes they use it as an opportunity to go in a different direction. So.
Alright. Will there be another Technic competition from which an exclusive edition model will be sold, like the Boss Crawler set?
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Alright.
Was it a good? I mean, when you ask questions like that, it's always a case of like, are you asking because you want to do it again? Was it something that you guys enjoyed?
In a way, although there was a lot of problems with people speculating with this set because it was limited edition.
Yeah. No, I think with the Porsche now, then it's not limited, but each one has the unique unique code.
Yeah,
get that right. So you can enter that in, and you can download some special things in the certificate and things. So.
All right. A long question now. Looking at the supercars line, do you agree that LEGO Technic has kind of stopped advancing at some point? I mean, we've seen great advancements in mechanical complexity of sets in 80s and 90s, up to, let's say, the 80 supercar, which had independent suspension, all-wheel drive, force-with transmission, and steamed with Ackermann geometry. And it feels like there was no real step forward since then. Even the new Porsche car is it's using refined versions of pieces from the 80. There are many relatively simple mechanisms or pieces that could be introduced but weren't, like front suspension with positive caster angle maybe, or helical gear wheels. So do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, that's a long question. Of course, with the Porsche, if you want to talk about the Porsche, we consider that this is a step forward from the supercars that we've done before. Of course, there's certain restrictions when we take on an IP partner, because of course it needs to be, their car, their model. But there's also some restrictions from us in terms of that we just can't build some of these things that you talk about. We're talking about, remember, Lego Technic, where just being able to place two beams next to each other becomes quite complex, and sometimes you can't quite get that piece where you want it to be. So it means that the designers really have to balance this ability to make something which is like the real car, but also to be able to make something that is buildable by you guys as well. So I think one of the things that you guys talk about a lot is the position of our steering, and I think with this one, I think you'll be happy to see that it's actually 0-point steering, or as close to 0-point steering as you can get in Lego Technic. So that's one of the things that I know that you want, and it was one of the things that we really wanted to
But again, there was a supercar set before with 0-point steering, the 84-48.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've gone away from that for a long time.
But since
I thought you'd be happy we got back to this.
But since that time, all the wheel platform just got basically updated, and it went to symmetrical geometry on all the wheels.
Yeah.
No exceptions. So this was really a thing that we tried to bring back.
All right.
And I know from our side as well, it's like this. The paddle shift is the focus of this car, and it was something that the designer has spent a long time trying to get. So yeah, we're quite proud of it.
All right. Because is there any chance that the Porsche may be the start of a series?
I think we've said that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's not very clear.
Oh wow!
Well, I think I say at the beginning.
This is the first of.
Yes. Oh, is it?
I got it as there will be more, I guess.
I think there might be.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want more? Is the question.
If I see a Pagani Zonda made like that, I'm going to pray to that.
A Zonda, okay.
Yeah.
Have you a preference for a new large supercar of the future?
Multipla.
Oh yes, the old one.
Actually, yeah, I really like. I met the designer of the. You mean what? You mean the original?
The Fiat Multipla.
The one with the raised lights at the bottom of the A posts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met the designer of that once. He almost wanted to give me a job. Well, he wanted to give me a job, but Fiat didn't have any money. But he's a really cool guy, and I really appreciate that type of design because it's a clever way at looking
at a problem. It's not the solution to a solution. It's looking at what is it you're trying to achieve. And when you want to put like a family of 6 into a small space, then the 3 rows of seats and everything, it's very clever. So I like that kind of design.
You want to suggest some other car, Fernando?
Lamborghini, BMW,
Yeah.
McLaren.
Oh yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah.
But since you missed that ultimate something in the box, we got in doubt.
Sorry, since what?
You missed the indication in the box that it could be ultimate series, a series.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's weird that people have latched onto this
UCS. UCS is a Star Wars thing, but
yeah, exactly. Whereas
But they
we just see
have
this
it on the boxes today.
No.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. Because I mean, all we do. I mean, you can see our models now. We have this is our flagship model for 2016, so our traditional Lego flagship model. Plus, we have two other I consider stunning models in 2016. So we have our traditional second half year, awesome big models with power functions and functionality and everything else like that. And then on top of that, we've done an additional model which may cater for you guys, but also for maybe a different type of fan as well. So, so that's why we're quite amused with some of the comments. It's like we've given you everything that you want, and then we've given you more, and like
but you have
still not happy.
specific brand. You have UCS in Star Wars. You have Expert in Creator. So we was expecting something in this line of Technic.
No, we just see this as being a really cool Technic model. It's something special. It's something that sits above our traditional boxes, but we didn't really name it as such. It's not a deliberate thing.
2 more questions, and you're free.
Yeah. No, this is fun.
Do you think will there ever be a Lego movie that's less about Duplo and more about Technic?
Oh,
the movie.
don't
That's
ask
it.
us. We're the wrong people to ask. Because
When they
nobody
come
asked
ask
us.
us, I don't know.
They should ask.
We can't say what's going to be in the next movie. But,
Is it a coincidence that so many Technic sets are perfectly sized for hamsters?
well, we do try. Unfortunately, it didn't really look right when we had a hamster-sized cage on the front here, but
yeah, we do try, but
I'm seeing it
not all the time possible. I think you can use this element for something. I'm looking forward to seeing the hamster wheel that you create with this one. It'll be perfect for you. But yeah, it's not really come into our testing too much, but just looking around.
We ran out of hamsters actually 2 years ago. Since the time, no replacement.
We never employed anyone.
They all retired basically.
We didn't employ one. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, not. Yeah. Maybe we can look at some substitutes from you guys.
There is one at Lego Ideas actually right now.
A hamster?
A Lego hamster, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Alright, that's all the questions I've had. Thank you very much for answering.
Yeah,
no worries. Hopefully it's...
if you have more, just
yes,
use your time.
eventually I may.
And I think maybe there are some questions you would like to answer, but you haven't had a chance.
No, but if you think of anything today, then I think we'll just be around doing interviews.
What colors would you like to welcome, or if there is already the color available, what elements would you like more?
Personally, I'm very, very happy that Porsche isn't red again, because we had so many red supercars it got boring. And orange is beautiful, and I admire how consistent it is, because for example, in the red set we often see variations in color, but Porsche is beautifully consistent, so it's really something to admire.
Yes, I mean that's a challenge whenever we launch a new model when it's all one color, especially with so many pieces, because the pieces are, as you saw in the molding factory, it's like, you know, the consistency there is amazing. I mean, I think it's world class.
I can tell you that personally I wanted to build a model of Koenigsegg car for years, and I wanted it to be orange, so I was waiting and I saw Porsche and it was finally.
I think there should be enough parts there to make. What we're really looking forward to as well now is that you know, we know that there's a lot of fans that have built cars based on the previous scales from the cars that we built back in races. The Enzo, not Zembo, the Enzo, and also the 599 GTB. And then of course, as soon as those elements are out there with those wheel caps and everything, then everyone builds lots and lots of models. And you know, whether it's a Ferrari or a Koenigsegg or a Bugatti or whatever, and it's really cool to see how people take that as the starting point to then build their own versions. So now when this one goes out there with these bigger wheels, then we're really looking forward to seeing what cars come next.
The wheels are awesome.
Why did you decide to remove the axle wall from the new rims when it was useful and you could have attached the tile with the RS printing anyway?
Oh, that's very specific. I think basically it's because of the way it's molded. There's no hidden thing or anything. It's just the way that some elements are constructed and some aren't. we need to have structure in the back of the element, and the way that the mold is cored out, etc., will lead to certain possibilities not being possible.
If I may ask,
wow, that sounded really.
Since you've made
certain possibilities not being possible. I'm beginning to sound like Ron Dennis.
yeah.
No.
Since you've made the new tires for the Porsche, did you consider trying a tread on the tire that is less
conventional,
less
more
conventional,
racing-like?
There's like a half a dozen of Lego tires that have exactly the same tread.
Yeah. No, that is deliberate. I mean, the tread on this one matches exactly the tread on all the other tires. I can imagine if we did do a different tread on this one, then you guys would be saying, why doesn't it match?
You did it in the Tumblr.
Again, and I remember the 8448, which had a beautiful tread.
Oh yes.
And you did something similar in the Tumblr.
Yeah. No, there's, you can go in two directions.
You know that the community looks a lot for third-party tires to apply to the Technic.
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of the off-road guys, they're using RC car, I think.
In my country, they've switched last year to the third-party tires, but it's not just because of the looks. They have a different compound and it's much grippier.
Functionality, yeah. When they're making RC models and the truck trials things, whatever.
The grip is
what do you think now? We got our own. Do you think everyone will use these?
It's beautiful.
Yes.
The tires are awesome, and I can't wait to use them myself.
Oh, cool. This was actually something that was very interesting in Lego, because of course we wanted to do a tractor, but we wanted to also make sure there was that level of authenticity that we've now got with Lego Technic. So of course the first thing we looked at was, can we do a tractor tyre? And we have pretty much the most amazing engineers here, and even they looked at it and they were like, not so sure. And then they went away, they thought about it, and they came back and they said, yes, we can do this. And then they went away, and they actually found out that it's actually easier to mould than the Unimold tyre. So it's amazing. The people here, they can look at something, they can think about it, they can come away with the answer, and they just get on with it. It's really, really nice.
Are these existing rims or new rims?
No, it's this normal rim. It's just the standard.
In red this time.
Yeah, a new colour for you. And then all we've done is, because of the way that the class model looks, the real one, of course it's got a much deeper dish to the wheels. But the important thing for class is that it has this feeling of weight. So we made a version where we used the what's it called, parabolic.
Yeah, the radar dish.
Yeah, radar dish. It's like the real name and the.
No, it's not the real name.
I know
it
is. So we just used those because that's what we're always doing, is we are always making Lego Technic versions of real vehicles. So we want to create that level of authenticity, but what we don't want to do is to create die-cast kind of vehicles, because we want models. We think it's much cleverer and much smarter if we're creating these models out of Lego Technic. So it's very, very rare that you'll see us creating an exact element in Lego Technic to do something. I think even in the Porsche you see that the wheel arch piece on the front, that could quite easily have been an exact Porsche piece, but we wanted it to be a Lego Technic piece. So it's something that we can use in lots of other models, and you guys will use it in lots of other ways that we haven't even thought of. And to us, that's the clever way to do it. So some people, they complain that it doesn't look like a die-cast, but for us, this is our level. This is what we really enjoy, is being able to create a model that you look at it, that is definitely a Class Zero tractor. But
you are always pointing down, maybe you can put it on the table.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. You don't have the panning capabilities. So yeah, this is what we've just been talking about, is the Xeron. It is an amazing wheel tractor, and it's a really great company to work with as well in terms of helping us out with this model. They are really, really happy with it as well, and to us that's the greatest form of flattery, or the greatest form of recognition that we've done a good job.